Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision change your heart. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buheit, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. We are so glad to have you in the service, whether that is in our building or online. Together, we create a multi-generational, beloved worshiping community. We begin our time together by lighting the chalice. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more justice and compassion to a hurting world. Our chalice lighting words today come from the Reverend Leslie Takahashi. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a greater generosity of spirit, a deeper joy in this life we share. It's been said that Unitarian Universalism is the religion that puts its faith in you, trusting each individual to engage in the spiritual journey and to reach our own conclusions about spiritual matters. We do that in beloved community as we support one another in faith and friendship. In that spirit, this congregation has created a covenant, a sacred promise of how we will strive to be with one another. I invite you to join me in speaking our covenant. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. As we gather, we acknowledge that our church is built on occupied land that once belonged to the First Nations people of this region, the Haudenosaunee. Today, we also extend gratitude to all of the water protectors in Minnesota who are protesting the continuation of the Line 3 pipeline through the state. We say Nyahweh, thank you in the Seneca language, to those arrested in the name of climate justice, and to all the organizations and individuals who are putting their bodies on the line for the healthy continuation of life on the beautiful blue boat we call home. Our opening reading comes from the Reverend Kristen Grassel-Schmidt. The Jewish New Year commemorates the creation of the world, the bringing forth of order where once there was only chaos, the birth of the building blocks of life. As Jews among and beyond us prepare to celebrate Rosh Hashanah tomorrow, let us celebrate. Let us marvel. Let us be awestruck, because the same force that brought our planet into being, the same force that evolved tiny atoms and molecules and DNA into intelligent life, that same force is still at work in the universe and in us, always bringing about new creations. Breath of life, breathe in us, with us, and through us this day. As we gather, one in community, one in commitment to truth, love, and justice, open our minds and hearts for the new that's always being created within and among us. Come, my friends, let us celebrate, let us marvel, let us be filled with awe. Come, let us worship together.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near. Come as you are, as you were, as love wants you to be, as a friend among friends, in your own harmony. Take your time, have no fear, the choice is yours and we're all here. Take a rest, ease your mind, come on home, right now's the time. Come as you are, as you were, as love wants you to be, as a friend among friends, in your own harmony. Take your time, have no fear, the choice is yours and we're all here. Take a rest, ease your mind, come on home, right now's the time.
I love the transition to September. The incremental changes and the angle of the sun are suddenly apparent, softening the world in a dance of light and shadow. I'm grateful for the cooler weather, although I know that can be a bit fickle in the weeks ahead. Although I've spent the last 2 summers separated from the activities and people that are usually part of my summer adventures, making the rhythm of my life a bit unchanging, I welcome the changes of September with open arms. In the next few weeks, we will be rolling out programs and opportunities to connect here, launching a new church year as we begin our 7th year of shared ministry. And the pivot point for all of this is Labor Day weekend. School is starting up again, a complicated time as families discern if their children will continue to learn from home or resume in-person learning with their peers at school. For all the families out there, I see you. I pray for your wisdom and compassion as you determine what is best for your families in relentlessly uncertain times. I raise my glass to the young adults leaving home to pursue their next adventures. And I note the weariness among us as we turn the calendar page to another day, week, or month of loneliness and isolation from loved ones. What a complicated mix of joy, trepidation, and loss. As I was contemplating our time together today, I focused a bit on Labor Day, not as the pivot point for a new academic year or an opportunity to gather with family and friends for picnics and relaxation, but the origins and meanings that are so easily lost in the commercials for bargains and the images of fun and friendship that create unrealistic expectations for what our lives actually are like. Labor Day became a national holiday in 1894, although individual states had been adopting it as early as 1887, with Oregon being the first. The day was created to honor and recognize the American labor movement and the works and contributions of laborers to the development and achievements of the United States. That sentence came directly from Wikipedia, and what it doesn't tell is the story of the people who lost their lives as they confronted a system that treated workers like an expendable commodity. These people were martyred, in many cases knowing that the changes they sought would be too late for them, but would have a positive impact on the generations to come. They were good ancestors, building a world for those who would follow them. It was the sacrifice of these unsung heroes that made me ask the question, whatever happened to the greater good? When did the people in this country lose sight of serving a greater good? When did rabid individualism and rampant consumerism overtake our sense of responsibility for one another? It's not a new problem by any means. One of the earliest stories in the Bible about the competitive brothers, Cain and Abel, asks the eternal question, am I my brother's keeper? Jesus answered that question in the parable of the Good Samaritan, affirming that we are responsible for the well-being of our neighbor, even when they represent everything our people abhor and fear. The social gospel that was preached and enacted by liberal Christians in the 18th and 19th centuries, many of them Unitarians and Universalists, affirmed that same message. We are responsible to God and responsible for one another. Our good ancestors were at the forefront of the social reform movements, including abolition, mental health reform, adequate and accessible health care, and public education, to name just a few. I thought about the rationing during the world wars, the willingness to set aside personal comfort and desires for a greater good, eliminating the scourge of fascism and liberating the oppressed. Again, affirming the scriptures found in both the book of Isaiah and in the Gospel of Luke, to bring good news to the poor, to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, and to let the oppressed go free. Did you know that the military draft was not instituted in this country until 1948? That means that the soldiers in every war that this country was involved in up to that point were volunteers. I'm not trying to say that each and every one of them had golden motives, but for many, the cause of fighting and potentially dying for the greater good was a real thing. If you're waiting for an answer to my question of whatever happened to the greater good, well, you've got a long wait. I don't have an answer. But I think there is a bridge for the chasm that divides the haves and the have-nots, and we are the bridge builders. My job today is to ask the questions, to raise the mirror, and to create the space where we can listen to what we know in our hearts. Let's begin with Wendell Berry's poem, Manifesto, the Mad Farmer Liberation Front. Love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay. Want more of everything ready-made. Be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. And you will have a window in your head. Not even your future will be a mystery anymore. Your mind will be punched in a card and shut away in a little drawer. When they want you to buy something, they will call you. When they want you to die for profit, they will let you know. So, friends, every day do something that won't compute. Love the Lord, love the world, work for nothing. Take all that you have and be poor. Love someone who does not deserve it. Denounce the government and embrace the flag. Hope to live in that free republic for which it stands. Give your approval to all you cannot understand. Praise ignorance, for what man has not encountered, he has not destroyed. Ask the questions that have no answers. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Say that the leaves are harvested when they have rotted into the mold. Call that profit. Prophesy such returns. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus that will build under the trees every 1,000 years. Listen to carrion. Put your ear close and hear the faint chattering of the songs that are to come. expect the end of the world. Laugh. Laughter is immeasurable. Be joyful though you have considered all the facts. So long as women do not go cheap for power, please women more than men. Ask yourself, will this satisfy a woman satisfied to bear a child? Will this disturb the sleep of a woman near to giving birth? Go with your love to the fields. Lie easy in the shade, rest your head in her lap. Swear allegiance to what is nighest your thoughts. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motions of your mind, lose it. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail, the way you didn't go. Be like the fox who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. Practice resurrection. You see, true happiness is not found in accumulating more and more. Our lives are enriched by possessing 3 things: belonging, meaning, and purpose. We are wired for belonging. Our very survival depends upon it. A newborn human is completely vulnerable, completely at the mercy of the need to belong, to be cared for, and to nurture others in our time. We never outgrow our need to belong. It is biological, not ideological. It drives people into loving church communities as well as into gangs and terrorist groups. We are finally relearning the fact that we belong to the earth. We are not simply unruly hotel guests in transit to another place. We crave meaning in our lives. Again, it is how we are wired. Meaninglessness leads to hopelessness and despair, and if left unchecked, those states are fatal to humans. And we need a sense of purpose, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Like belonging and meaning, the need for purpose is part of what makes us human. And as with those 2 other qualities, purpose is neutral. It can be used for good or ill. What we do with these fundamental needs and drives is up to us and the company we keep.
What good am I if I'm like all the rest? If I just turn away when I see how you're dressed? If I shut myself off so I can't hear you cry, what good am I? What good am I if I know and don't do? If I see and don't say, if I look right through you, if I turn a deaf ear to the thunder and sky, what good am I? What good am I while you softly weep? And I hear in my head what you say in your sleep, and I freeze in the moment like the rest who don't try. What good am I? that still fail to see. If my hands are tied, must I not wonder within who tied them and why? And where must I have been? What good am I if I say foolish things and I laugh in the face of what sorrow brings? And I just turn my back while you silently die. What good am I? What good am I? What good am I?
When I first heard Dylan's song a few years ago on an album by Tom Jones, I literally wept. That question, what good am I, in the context of caring for humanity, is for me the very heart of Unitarian Universalism. I could hear the echo of that question in all of the good ancestors who have preceded us, who followed Jesus' example of kenosis, self-emptying love. What good am I if I turn away, shut myself off, just turn my back? Both Unitarianism and Universalism have deep roots in Christianity, at least in the earliest forms of Christianity. Both were deemed heretical in the 4th century and went underground, emerging again in the 16th century and the Protestant Reformation. In the mid-20th century, they merged to create something new, based in love and service. The Unitarian Universalist message is all about proclaiming love and care for all of humanity, not just the chosen few. Salvation is for everyone. There is enough love to go around. The Bible cautions, "Be ye doers of the word, not hearers only." We are not meant to only be the recipients of this love, but to be active participants, finding the place where this love meets the world's deep need. What does love demand of us? What does love call us to do, to be, to become? The Christian theologian Frederick Buechner described this calling to be active participants this way: the place God calls you to is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. May I remind you of the wisdom of the dynamic Unitarian minister and founding member of the NAACP and the ACLU, John Haynes Holmes, who once said, "When I say God, it is poetry, not theology." So feel free to translate God to mean inner wisdom, spirit of life, ground of being, source of all, holy mystery, creative interchange, or whatever word or phrase that encompasses the ultimate for you. I like to use the word love. The place God calls you to is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. The place love calls us to be is where our deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Naming the world's deep hunger requires us to look beyond the relative safety of our own experience and worldview, to be able to suspend judgment and simply notice and name. The world's deep hunger manifests in beauty and wretchedness, challenging our assumptions and testing our faith. We can easily get lost in naming the world's deep hunger, losing sight of our sustaining hope. But God, love, does not call us to despair. Love invites us to meet the world's hunger with our deep gladness.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
We begin with compassion and vulnerability as we enter a time of quiet reflection, to listen for that still small voice, however you name that. Today, we especially lift up those who need our love and support, those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely or grieving, those who have been wronged. We hold this troubled world in our hearts, the people of Afghanistan and all those in our country who were affected by Hurricane Ida, the devastation of wildfires and viruses, the hardening of hearts and minds. We feel sorrow and send our compassion to all those affected by the school shooting this week in North Carolina. And as much as our hearts are burdened with concern and sorrow, our lives are also punctuated by moments of joy and wonder. We give thanks for new life, new discoveries, and the abiding peace of friendship. Sorrows shared are divided and made manageable. Joys shared are multiplied and infectious. This beloved community is woven together by a shared sense of hope, the inescapable byproduct of belonging, meaning, and purpose. It's why we gather in faith and friendship, to remind ourselves and one another of the love that enfolds us and that we serve.
Hey there, polar bear, it's quite a mess we found. Life is one heavy trip, our paws are sinking in the ground. I see you out lumbering at the break of dawn. How can we survive and save the day before the day is gone. Well, I know I'm gonna find a way. I know I'm gonna light the way. 'Cause if I'm ever gonna make it, then I gotta say I can't save the world today and every day. Young blood coming up and coming from behind. You know you've got the force to change the world, and it's your mind. Your big plans are shining like the bright rays of the sun. We can't be done when all I see is that you just begun. Well, I know you're gonna find a way. I know you're gonna light the way. So if we're ever gonna make it, then you gotta say I can't save the world today and every day. Some say the smallest things don't count, then say the big things don't amount to any answers either. Man, there is no break or breather. There's no time for this smug frustration. I say everyone's a power station. And we'll light the way. But we gotta say we can save the world a little every day. Hey there, polar bear, I know this much is true. There are so many, many, many things that we can do if we don't go and lay it on the line. What will we tell tomorrow when tomorrow says we had this time? Well, I know we're gonna find a way. I know we're gonna light the way. And I know we're gonna make it, but we gotta say we can't save the world today, every day. Today and every day, every day.
Love called you here. Love called you to come into this house of faith to be nurtured and challenged, stirring your mind and your heart. Love called, and you answered. And the gladness in the world went up a notch with the gladness in your own life. Back in 1629, our Puritan ancestors answered love's call to come together. But they knew that it would take effort to remain together. So they made a covenant, a sacred promise of how they would strive to be with one another. They said, though our knowledge is incomplete, our truth partial, and our love uneven, from our own experience and from the witness of our faith tradition, we believe that new light is ever waiting to break through individual hearts and minds to illumine the ways of humankind, that there is mutual strength in willing cooperation, and that the bonds of love keep open the gates of freedom. Therefore, we pledge to walk together in ways of truth and affection as best we know them now or may learn them in days to come, that we and our children may be fulfilled, and that we may speak to the world with the words and actions of peace and goodwill. When we answer love's call, then we can speak to the world with words and actions of peace and goodwill. The intersection where our deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger. We gather in a covenantal community, a gathering of people who celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit and purpose, so that we might more clearly hear love's call. Unitarian Universalist minister Dean Starr wrote, "We come to church to have stripped away the indifference, the carelessness, the callousness of our daily lives. We come to church to try to remove the scales from our eyes, the wax from our ears, the calluses from our hands. As the scales fall, as the wax melts, as the new skin appears, we become sensitive to a world in which the Eternal One is repeatedly incarnate. We become sensitive to the countless voices, sights, and sounds that beckon us to be still and know that I am God. Love called, and you walked through these doors. Love is calling us to walk together in the ways of truth and affection as best we know them now or may learn them in days to come. Love is calling us to save the world today and every day, to light the way. Love is calling each one of us individually. And when we let love cast out fear, we can answer the call to walk together, keeping the gates of freedom open for ourselves and for a hurting world. Love is calling us to be, to become, and to do unto others, letting our deep gladness meet the world's deep hunger. This is who we are. This is what we do. Love is the meaning and purpose for all that is our life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. All that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Thank you for joining us in worship today. I hope you have been inspired and uplifted by sharing this time together. Please see the credits at the end of this service for information about the music and other worship elements. And do take a moment to visit our website, uuamherst.org, and click on the giving link, or text your gift to 833-987-1968. We extinguish our chalice with these familiar words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. A benediction is a blessing, a way to close the sacred space we have shared and to transition to our regular lives, knowing we are deeply connected even when apart. These parting words come from Wendell Berry, entitled Our Real Work. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work, and that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. Go in peace. Return again in love.